Okay, Parshas KiTissa, and a greeting to Rabbi Kramer's 7th grade class at HELB. I hope you're still in session. We're learning about Betzalel this week. Betzalel's destiny and our destiny. What I want to talk about is the whole concept of destiny, personal achievement, through the lens of the experience of Betzalel. Betzalel's relationship with the Mishkan is that he is the... What? What did he do?
Architect.
Architect? Exactly.
He's a builder.
He's the contractor. Betzalel is the contractor. Meaning, he has all the plans, right? The plans are given to him. The materials are given to him, but he's supposed to organize the labor to get everybody to do the things that they're supposed to do. So if you take a look at source number 1 from our Parsha, Rei Karasi B'Shem Betzalel ben Uri ben Hur L'matei Yehuda, I have identified Betzalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, from the tribe of Yehuda, v'amaleo so ruach Elokim. I have filled him with the spirit of Hashem, b'chochma, u'b'svuna, u'b'das, u'v'chol malacha. He's got it all. Chochma, bina, das, yes. Chabad, the wisdom, understanding, knowledge. No, that's what it is. Okay.
By the way.
Yes. So he's going to have the ability to manage all of the different crafts, lachshov, machshavos, which we rendered here as to work skillfully. I don't remember whether that my own translation or got it from somewhere. I did that one a while ago, but I think it's my own. Lasos bazahov v'kesef v'anachoshes, to work with gold, to work with silver, to work with nechoshes, which I rendered as copper alloy because nechoshes does not exist in nature on its own. Meaning, nechoshes does. Copper does not. Copper is either alloyed with tin or with it's alloyed with. How does it work? Yeah, with either tin or nickel. And it comes out as either brass or bronze, which is why when you see the word nechoshes translated in translations of the Chumash, sometimes I'll translate it as copper, sometimes as brass, and sometimes as bronze, because no one really knows. But he's going to be able to direct the people and work with all of these things. Uba charoshes even, as well as stonework, charoshes eitz, working with wood, lasos b'chol malacha, to engage in every craft. He is going to be the one to run the show. Now, how do you win the contract to build the Mishkan? Right? You can't offer impressive plans because God's already giving you the plans. You can't come in with a low bid on the job because Hashem already, is directing everybody to give, and they're giving more actually than is even needed. You can't rely on connections because God pretty much knows everybody. So, how is it that you get the job? So what we're going to see are 3 complementary midrashim that present different ideas about how Betzalel got this job, and those midrashim are going to present us with a problem about the issue of destiny in Judaism and how it is that a person gets Hashem's favor. We clear? That's our question. Okay. Grade 7 class, you clear? Okay. So take a look at source number 2. First medrash on this. All 3 midrashim you can see are, you'll see. The 3 midrashim that we really want are numbers 2, 3, and 4 on the sheet. The one that's unnumbered, I don't know why I didn't number it, but don't worry about that. But numbers 2, 3, and 4 are the midrashim that we're gonna want here.
What's the time frame of this?
This is when the Jews. One piece of the time frame is actually unclear, meaning the building of the Mishkan, or the assignment of building the Mishkan, happens at one of 2 possible times. Either it happens before Moshe goes up for the first time, for the first 40 days, or it happens after the Egel. That's what's not clear. Unquestionably, the actual construction happens afterwards, after the whole Egel story, after the whole golden calf story. The problem is that as you go through the Parshios, Parshas Yisro is 6th of Sivan, 7th of Sivan, when you get the Aseres Hadibros, right? That's the big sound and light show. After which, at the end of Parshas Mishpatim, we're told, Moshe goes up the mountain. So all the instructions that are in Mishpatim, it's unclear exactly when we got them, but they seem to be presented before Moshe goes up for the first 40 days, 6th of Sivan, 7th of Sivan. Then Moshe goes up the mountain at the end of Parshas Mishpatim, and he comes down famously after 40 days, right? Because golden calf. That's recorded in Parshas Kisisa. In between, you get Truma and Tetzaveh, which are the instructions about building the Mishkan. But that doesn't make any sense because Moshe's not there. Who's giving instructions? It doesn't make any sense at all. So one of two things is happening. Either these instructions actually happened before he went up the mountain, and then you just need to understand why is it that we were told at the end of Mishpatim about Moshe going up, if he's not really going up until after Parshas Tetzaveh. That's one solution, though. The other solution is to say that actually all of it is post-Egel, it's post-Golden Calf, in which case then you have to ask the question, why is it that it's listed here before the events of the Golden Calf in Kisisa? To which the classic answer is, it's to give you a little bit of space between receiving the Torah and making the Golden Calf. It makes it somehow less painful that they went straight from one to the other. So I think it wasn't straight yet, 40 days in between, but still. So the answer to your question is that the assignment of Betzalel to this role, if it took place during the instruction phase, could have been right after the Aseres HaDibros, before Moshe goes up, or could have been after the Egel, and then the subsequent sets of 40 days where Moshe gets forgiveness from Hashem, and you get the second set of Luchos and all that. Is that
Before or after Egel?
It's either before the Egel or right after or right after the Kapara for the Egel. That's the answer. Either way, your first year Midbar, right? Your first year in the wilderness. Either you are effective. If you want to put a date on it, right? Either it is 6th of Sivan, 7th of Sivan, when Moshe has the Aseres HaDibros, or it's right after Yom Kippur, which is when the Egel story is wrapped up. Okay, those are your two options. Okay, so look at this medrash here in Shmos Rabbah. Pasach Rabbi Tanchuma bar Abba. Rabbi Tanchuma bar Abba starts teaching this section by quoting a pasuk in Iyov. Az ra'ah v'yisapra, hechinah v'gam chokra. Pasuk says, then he, God, saw it and recorded it, prepared it, and analyzed it. So he says, what is that talking about? What was it that Hashem saw, recorded, prepared, analyzed? Tzafa Kadosh Baruch Hu v'ra sheyisra mekabelin es haTorah. Hashem looked and anticipated that the Jews would receive the Torah, meaning at the time of creation, it's talking about. Hashem planned it. She'ilulei kain, if it weren't so, lo bara ha'olam, he would not have created the world. And so it says, us, back then, ra'ah v'yisapra. He saw it, he recorded it, and it continues to say, v'yomer la'adam, hein yiras Hashem hi chochma v'sur me'ra bina. He said to man, reverence for God is wisdom, ... So the Medrash begins by saying that Hashem plans from the very beginning that we are going to receive the Torah, and that's what creation is dependent upon. That's not the part that's directly relevant for us. It's the second half of this Medrash that is. Rabbi Chia bar Abba continues to say, Mahu hein yiras Hashem hi chochma. What does it mean when the pasuk says that reverence for God is wisdom, and as the pasuk continues, and avoiding evil is understanding? What does that mean? Amar ha'elokim. God said, Im hayu lecha ma'asim tovim, ani nosein lecha sachar. If you have good deeds, if you possess good deeds, I'm going to reward you. And Rabbi Brachia then quotes Rabbi Chia bar Abba on this pasuk saying, an example of reward for good deeds. He says, first he says, Schar hayira Torah, the reward for reverence of Hashem is Torah. Shem yocheved hemid HaKadosh Baruch Hu es Moshe. Because look at that. Yocheved is someone who has Yiras Hashem. How do you know Yocheved has Yiras Hashem?
She wanted to separate. That was Moshe.
No. How do we know that Yocheved has Yiras Hashem? Because Yocheved is supposed to be one of the mialdos, the midwives, and it says about Tirena HaMialdos, that's Elokim, right? The midwives had reverence for Hashem. So Yocheved has Yirah, therefore her descendant gets Torah. So that shows you Yiras Hashem is going to lead to Torah, and Miriam al yedei shesara min hara umin hachet, and because Miriam avoided evil and sin, right? Miriam is the other one of the mialdos. of these midwives. Therefore, Hashem caused her to have Betzalel as a descendant, v'zacha l'chachma uvina, and so he gets chachma and bina. He gets these traits that make him eligible to build the Mishkan. The link to Eov here in this pasuk is just that the pasuk has ra'ah, vayisaf ra. Right? Then he saw Ra'ah, and we read in source number 1, Re'ei Karasi B'Shem, as well as the fact that the pasuk here refers to Chachma and Bina, and the pasuk with Betzalel in source number 1 referred to Chachma and Bina. I think that's what this medrash is building on. In other words, it's building on the fact that with Betzalel we have the word Re'ei, and we have Chachma and Bina that come to him, and this pasuk in Eov has Hashem giving. First, it has the idea of Ra'ah, Hashem saw, and it has Chachma Ubina, that these levels of wisdom will come to somebody who had Yiras Hashem. So it says that Yiras Hashem of Yocheved and of Betzalel lead to great understanding for their descendants, specifically Moshe and Betzalel. Upshot of this medrash is that Miriam gets a grandson who will be builder of the Mishkan, who will be the contractor of the Mishkan. That's what emerges from there. The genealogy of it is Miriam marries Hur, and Betzalel is her grandson. Chronology is a little bit awkward when you think about it, just in terms of these generations, because that means that Miriam, when they come out of Mitzrayim, has a grandson who is old enough to run the show on the Mishkan in year 1. But it's not crazy. I mean, Moshe was 80, so she was 86, right? So that's not, to a grandson who's already mature. I mean, there were a lot of people who were older, but he was young, but evidently, capable. So that's your first medrash, yeah.
He merited to be smart, to have Chachma Bina and Das, because his grandmother and great-grandmother, or great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother had Yiras Hashem?
Well, not he merited, because merit can suggest he had merit. He gets these things because of their merit.
Got it.
Or specifically Miriam's merit. In other words, Yocheved's merit leads to Moshe. Miriam's merit leads to, even though Yocheved is his great-grandmother, right, but the Medrash links it to Miriam specifically. I think it wants Miriam to have her own, because, she had her own Yiras Hashem. So Yocheved gets Moshe, which isn't bad, but that's the idea. And this, of course, is going to have to lead to a question, which is, so does that mean that people who are great, right, are great because grandma did something, right? Not because of themselves, but because their grandmother had Yiras Hashem. That's what it sounds like, right? That's what it's saying, correct?
We did a parsha on this before, something similar.
On Yichus? Yeah, no, Yichus comes up.
Yeah.
Definitely comes up.
With the Kohanim, right? No, what was it?
I don't remember either, so you're...
Does no one else remember?
No, they all remember. They're just not, they don't need to be embarrassed.
No, on the
right. Yeah, they must have the recording. Okay, later. So, that's one medrash. Take a look at source number 3. Take a look at source number 3, second medrash. Davar Acher, alternative view of how Betzalel gets this role. Re'ei Karasi B'Shem. Karasi B'Shem Betzalel ein ksiv kan. Ela Re'ei Karasi. Right? Medrash picks up on that word Re'ei. See that I have identified Betzalel. Omar Moshe Lemi Omar. Moshe says to Hashem, who exactly am I supposed to tell this to? Omar Lo, Ani. Meaning, to whom am I supposed to tell this to build the Mishkan? Amar lo, ani mara lecha. Hashem said, I am going to show you the person who you're supposed to give all these instructions to. Umas ma'asa Kadosh Baruch Hu. What did Hashem do? Hevi lo sifro shel Adam harishon. Hashem brought Moshe the book of Adam. Ve'era lo kol hadoros shenasidim lamo mibreshis atchias hamesim. He showed Moshe all the generations from Bereshis all the way through to the resurrection of the dead, everybody. Dor umalachav, each generation had its kings. Dor umanhigav, each generation its leaders. Dor uneviyav, each generation its prophets. Amar lo kol echad ve'echad hiskantiv me'os hasha. He says to Moshe, each one I picked from the beginning. I like that idea. Each one from the beginning. And I established Betzalel way back when. That's what it means when it says, see, I picked Betzalel.
Right.
See, because it's there in the book.
Yeah. Like, let me show you.
They're all there.
Right. There's also, there are two elements to it. It's the word see, but also karasi, I already called. Now, I don't think it's karasi like to read. I think it's but it's past tense. I already called him. I named him way back when.
And you hoped he would turn out to be great?
You're God, you don't hope.
Yeah. Oh, no, but he's looking in the book of Adam, like I'm very confused.
Right, so that's what I wanted to know. What is the book of Adam? So take a look, please, at source unnumbered, after number 3. And there you will find a basis for this idea. It's based on a pasuk in Bereshis, which is in Bereshis chapter 5, sentence 1, Parakeh pasuk Aleph. Zeh Sefer Toledos Adam. The Torah says, literally, this is the book of the products of man. That's your pasuk. So they quote a pasuk in Tehillim. Golmi ra'u einecha. This is David HaMelech speaking. He says to God, my raw form, your eyes saw. My golem. Golem is the idea of a raw form, undifferentiated and undeveloped. Val sifracha kulam yikasevu. And on your book, God, all of them are recorded. Yamim yitzaru v'lo echad bahem. In days they will be formed, and to him all is one. It's actually written low with an aleph, but we read it as low with a vav. What in the world does that pasuk in Tehillim mean? David saying, God saw my form, what is recorded in his book. So Yehuda by Simon explains, I'm going to stick with my English translation. He says, while Adam Arishon was still lying as a raw form before the one who spoke and created the world, Hashem showed him each generation and its dorshim. The word dorshim is some kind of orator, speaker, teacher. It doesn't really have a good English translation, so I chose to leave it as dorshim. Each generation and its dorshim, each generation and its chachamim, its sages, each generation and its sofrim, its scholars. Sofer does not necessarily mean scribe. Each generation and its manhigim, its leaders. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Golmi ra'u einecha. My raw form, your eyes saw, meaning God already saw me, David HaMelech, way, way back. Where was it recorded? In the book of Adam Harishon. Zeh Sefer Toldos Adam. So the idea that this medrash is picking up on, which our medrash in number 3 is picking up on, is that in fact God has a book. It is a book in which the destinies of all human beings are recorded.
So then does the whole concept of the Chira and all of that get thrown out of the window, or does that still exist? Because it seems like it would conflict.
It does seem like it would conflict, doesn't it? Well, I mean, what's the easy answer?
It conflicts once every 6 months.
What's the easy answer? God's already seen it. He already watched the movie. He's already saw what you're going to do. Time is meaningless to God. It's not, He's not within it, He's outside of it. So therefore God has already seen you do it, and therefore He's recording it. The problem with the easy answer is that it robs it of its meaning. If that's true, that God only writes it because He's seen you do it, then it's not so impressive. The whole point is to say God had a book and He knew from the beginning and He had a plan of what was going to happen. The answer is this seems to say that, free will is not all it's cracked up to be. Now, you can make the argument that maybe it's only the leaders who are recorded there. That people who are at a certain stage of activity, God has actually set them in place. He said, I want this to happen. So, the Moshe Rabbeinus of the world, they're already set. The rest of us, can do, whatever it is that our Bechira leads us to do.
This doesn't say anywhere in the Medrash exactly anything about them. It just lists them.
Correct.
So, if we were listed in this book, it still doesn't say what we did in our life.
Is that true? I mean, just the fact that you are listed as the leader tells you something.
As the leader, but as a generation, they're just like.
But it breaks it down to like Manhigim and Sofrim and all of that.
Right, so then maybe the Manhigim is like you're saying.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more
from the generational perspective,
right.
From the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have 2 midrashim now. One says Betzalel gets the job of contractor for the Mishkan because of his grandmother. The second one says Hashem gives Betzalel the job of creating the Mishkan because it was in God's plan from the very beginning. Rei Karasi. And then a third and last medrash for this, which is going to seem to suggest genetics. Source number 4. Alternatively, Rei Karasi B'Shem Betzalel. See, I have called the name of Betzalel. They link it to a pasuk in Koheles. Masha Haya Kevar Nikra Shemo. That which exists was already named from the beginning. Karasi B'Shem, right? Karasi B'Shem Nikra Shemo. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem said, Misha Iskantiv Meirosh Sheyaze Mishkan, the one I set from the start as the one to build the Mishkan, Kavar Karasi Lo Shem. I have already named him. I named him way back when. The rest of the pasuk says, V'noda Shehu Adam. It is known that he is man. What does that mean? Ad She'Adam Harishon Mutal Golem. While Adam was still a golem, a raw form, Hashem showed him each righteous person who would arise from him. And some are linked to Adam's head, some are linked to his hair, some are linked to his forehead, some from his eyes, his nose, his mouth, his ear, his earlobe. Who gets to be the earring? I don't know. But each aspect of Adam is represented in different descendants. The different parts of Adam, I think, represent different qualities of Adam, which they inherit. Right? This goes back to a completely separate concept, and that is the Chachamim are wondering, what does it mean for God to create a human being? Meaning, we know what it means when human beings create human beings. That we have a concept of, even before any understanding of genetics. We had some sense of, okay, they're human beings, and they generated a new human being out of them, and just like they're flawed, so their kid is also going to be human with all that entails. But if God creates a human being, like, divine things are supposed to be perfect. Right? So what does that even mean, that God creates a human being? And so what the Medrash here is suggesting is that Adam has within him, he is the repository of all qualities. Everything that human beings can achieve. All the different traits of a human being, presumably good or bad, right, are all embodied in Adam. And then his descendants all have specific elements of those traits. Mm-hmm. You follow? Mm-hmm. You don't like this, Donnie?
I know. I think it's like every human being after just is too difficult.
Why?
Because I always say, like, every person you look at has, like, is so different. Mm-hmm. How does Hashem? I like to think that just each person has a different sort of. I don't know. It's hard to.
But we have genetics. I mean, what this is adding is spiritual genetics.
I think it's interesting because each person has their own quality that could represent some unique special quality, and
right.
It's passed down. It could be divided so many ways from so many different generations that each person really is an individual. And really.
Yeah, no, it's the seeds are there, and each one is their own blend.
That's all from Adam.
All. Yes, it was all there within Adam, and by definition within Chava as well, since she is part of Adam.
Wow, right. Amazing.
That's the concept, but that means, again, applying this back to Betzalel, that Betzalel, Rei Karasi B'Shem, right, was from Nikra Shemo. Betzalel got his traits, his Chachma, Bina, Das, ability to run the Mishkan, because he was a descendant of Adam and he had Adam's creative abilities. Clear? Okay, so here's our problem. And yes, now we for sure have talked about this issue of Yichus before, and I'm good with that. But I don't think we did the Betzalel.
No. We did it also in the sense of if our ancestors had sinned, are they our sins?
Right. We all have traits.
It was in that context. It was our ancestors' sins. Right. Like, are they ours? So
okay.
It was that year that.
So this is good. This is the positive side of that one.
Yeah.
That was the negative, and this is the positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really could have been anyone, not specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. So the models that the Medrash is presenting, in which Betzalel is a product of his grandmother, a foretold, piece of God's vision, an heir to spiritual genetics from Adam. These fit within the Jewish vision of destiny. Right? I brought you one pasuk of many, I could have brought you in number 5, where Hashem says, I'm going to remember my bris with Yaakov, I'm going to remember my bris with Yitzchak, I'm going to remember my bris with Abraham, and therefore, I'm going to help their descendants. Right? Rav Soloveitchik has a whole thing about the difference between bris avos and zechus avos, the covenant with our ancestors versus the merit of our ancestors. I'm not going to go into that right now. The bottom line, what you see from here, is familiar, right? In Shemona Esrei, we talk about how Hashem helped our ancestors. He should help us as well. We dive into Hashem and call him, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Because Hashem said to Moshe, that's what you're supposed to do. So the merit of ancestors helping their descendants is a piece of what you're seeing here with Betzalel, right? He has the merit of Miriam. The idea of a divine plan. In source number 6, Hashem sends us to Mitzrayim. He already told Abraham centuries before we were going to Mitzrayim. Your children are going to be strangers in a land that is not theirs, right? Not centuries, but more than a century before. Hashem told Abraham that this was going to happen. And as far as spiritual genetics, look at source number 7 from the Kuzari. Now, I'm cheating by quoting the Kuzari because he's very into this idea. Not everybody is. But Jewish mystics love this idea. He's talking about the history of the world. The Chaver, who's the Jew who's speaking in the Kuzari, says that the world is 4,500 years old. 4,500 years from Adam. The specific calculation is clear. From the days of Adam and Chase and Enosh to Noach, Shem and Aver, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, you have all the begats in the Torah, you get how long they lived. To Moshe, these men were joined together in the heart of man and his treasure. Each of them had children who were like shells, not resembling their fathers, and not joined with them in the divine aspect. So in other words, as he sees it, there are special traits that Adam passes down to some descendants, and then there are others who didn't really catch that. They don't really have this special element of the ancestor. This count of years is established for these who had that divine element. He says, how does the Torah decide who it's going to record? Why is it that I only know about one descendant of Adam, not Adam, but of Enosh and Chase and Arpachshad and all that? I only get one line. It tells me how old they were. And the answer is because those are the ones who had that special neshama. They were few rather than many until Yaakov produced 12 tribes, all of whom were suited for the divine element, and that was found in a great nation. In other words, there's something unique that is passed down through their neshamas. Follow? So it makes sense. We call this yichus. Right? Literally, that's not what yichus means. Right? What does yichus literally mean? Connection, association. Right? That's what it really means. But we use it to mean lineage. Right? That's the way we talk about yichus. And the truth of the matter is that an emphasis on yichus, to a certain extent, makes sense. It makes sense. Whether you like it or don't like it, it makes sense. By which I mean, talk about it in the circumstance in which people most often quote yichus, right? Which is shidduchim, right? So they say, get someone from a good family. So I grew up, as many people in my milieu grew up, thinking, forget that. That's all a joke. That's not really relevant. And I'll meet whoever I meet, and if I like her and she likes me, then who cares what family they're from? And then I got older, right? And I saw more of the world and have a much different view of the way things like that work. Because even though, parents don't control their children, nonetheless, they have a head start as an influence. Hopefully, assuming that they don't chase them in the other way, they have a head start as an influence. And they establish certain rules, hopefully positively. They create a certain precedent. So the reality is that yichus does have a certain logic to it. Looking for someone from a certain family can make sense. it also fits within the general Jewish idea of destiny. In other words, leaving yichus for a second. These arguments make sense from a destiny perspective. If Judaism believes in an omniscient God, right, I don't know how to reconcile that with free will. But if Judaism believes in a God who knows everything and who has a plan, and we believe that we exist not only as individuals, but as members of the tzibur, as members of the Jewish community, then why shouldn't we believe in a concept of destiny? Right? You live in a world that doesn't like the idea of yichus. Pop culture does not like the idea of yichus. Pop culture does not like the idea of destiny. You make your own destiny. But I think that you can't really be honest and say it's not there within Judaism. It is there. Having now, spent the last few minutes supporting yichus and destiny, we now move into saying, yeah, but Judaism doesn't believe in that at all. Take a look at source number 8. Classic Gemara Nedarim. I've quoted this once before, but I don't think it was in that shir. Why is it that Torah scholars don't usually have children who are Torah scholars? I think that's the Gemara says it, therefore it must be true. Usually it doesn't work out that way, says the Gemara. The Gemara it says Hamidei Chachamim. You have to be,
But like Rebbes, like they pass it, like one Rebbe different.
First of all, Rebbes do not always pass it, father to son, worth knowing. Sometimes it skips a generation, sometimes it goes through an in-law. That's one point. But second, wielding power and even having fine character doesn't mean someone's a Talmid Chacham. They're being very specific here about it, and that's seen in the Gemara. I only brought you one line from it, but for one of the reasons the Gemara gives, not that we're going through right here, but one of the reasons the Gemara gives is because the Talmid Chacham senior in the family is disrespectful towards other people, discounts other people because they're not as knowledgeable. And so therefore their kid grows up to say, well, I don't want to be like that. So it's actually, aside from being their fault, it means that they're not people of good character. It's just a matter of just Torah knowledge. So the answer here, though, that I brought you, Rav Yosef, is the first answer in the Gemara. Shalo Yomru Torah Yerusha Hilahem. God doesn't want Torah to be perceived as the province of this particular family. Right? We do know of scholarly families within Judaism. But there's a risk that people come to think, okay, so, that family, they're Talmidei Chachamim, because the father was and the grandfather was, and I'm being male specific, which I shouldn't, but nonetheless, the point is that that's the way that people are going to look at it, so therefore, think about what the Gemara's implication is. It's not saying, therefore the kids won't learn. It's saying Hashem is going to intervene to make a point. This is anti-destiny. Right? If you have somebody who is a great Talmid Chacham, Hashem's going to make sure his kid doesn't learn Torah. In order to prevent people from thinking, you have to be part of that family to be a Talmid Chacham.
Well, you also, like you said before, you took out the part about this person obviously not having good midos.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about necessarily righteous people.
Correct. True.
A righteous Talmid Chacham would not have this.
Right. There are like 5 answers, though, in the Gemara as to why it's not conveyed. Take a look. It's a very interesting Gemara. But that's this argues against the whole destiny thing. That's number 1. Number 2, this is also a fun one. Source number 9, Gemara Menachos. Amrile Rabbanan Rabbi Preda. The Chachamim said to Rabbi Preda, you know who's showing up? Rabbi Ezra, that's a typo, sorry. Rabbi Ezra, who is the grandson of Rabbi Avtulus, who is the 10th generation from Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, who was the 10th generation, I did this translation too quickly, sorry. I'll have to edit it later. The 10th generation to Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, who was the 10th generation from Ezra, he is standing at the gate. You want to know who's out at the gate? This person who is a descendant of Ezra HaKohen. Omar, Rabbi Preda responds, he says, so what? If he's somebody who has learned and is eligible to issue rulings, he's somebody who is halachically expert, great. Ube'ibar Urian Ubar Avon Yoi. And if he is worthy of issuing rulings, he's somebody who knows his stuff, and he has great ancestry, also great. But if he has great ancestors and he himself is not great, don't let him be consumed by fire. He says, who cares about the lineage? He says, if anything, the lineage works against you. Right? Because if you have it and you don't live up to it, that's terrible. You're better off, starting without the lineage, and if you don't become great, you didn't have these kinds of expectations, and if you do become great, that's wonderful. It's not about who your ancestors are. Right? I always like to point this out Shavuos time, that on Shavuos we read Megillas Rus. Right? Who's the hero in Rus? Sorry? Rus! No! Rus is the hero in...
I'm scared.
It wasn't a trick question. Rus is the hero of Megillas Rus, right? On the holiday when we receive the Torah and mark ourselves as unique, the hero is the one who converted. Right? The person who came from the outside. Not the person who was born into it. Boaz has a nice role in Megillas Rus. Let's not take everything away from Boaz, but when you compare the treatment that they get in the Megillah and the way they're described, it's very clear. Rus is the hero of the story. Boaz is the one who said, "Oh, let me help you. You can go glean behind my workmen." It's a whole different. It's not true. He also gave her gifts. Let's be fair. And he married her. Fine. But you understand what I'm trying to say. The point here is that we play down the value of merit of the ancestor. We play down the value of this sort of predestination based on who your ancestors were. And I brought you a quote which isn't one of ours, but I like it anyway, in number 10 from the Roman Seneca. He who boasts his race boasts glory not his own. Right? If you boast because of who you came from, you didn't earn it. You just, were born into it.
So then why do we always go back to it because Avram is from Yaakov?
So...
And didn't Ruth get, David Amelech came from her because of what she did, so that's the destiny piece also, right?
So... David comes from Ruth.
Right.
So you're saying that there is a destiny element in her descendants. Absolutely. But I could read that, as well as Nechama's point about we do invoke the merit of Le'avos, to say that it's not about destiny. That's about calling in a favor. In other words, saying to God, help us because we had great ancestors. That doesn't mean dictate my life based on who my ancestors were. That now I'm going to be able to build a Mishkan just because of them. It's a difficult line to walk because you are saying on the one hand that's how Betzalel gets this role, but on the other hand you're saying Hashem wants to davka show you that it's not about who you come from, it's about what you do. So we have a fundamental problem. We have a fundamental problem. So I wanted to address it by bringing two more midrashim. Also, on this same discussion about Betzalel. Source number 11. Again, same pasuk. Re'ei karasi b'shem. It's the same pasuk. When someone asks you, so you have a Dvar Torah for Shabbos, the answer is just Re'ei karasi b'shem. You have an hour? Behold, I have called the name. He says, this is one of 7 people who were called multiple names. Some had 4 names. Eliyahu is with 4 names. There's a whole other discussion about Eliyahu, not for right now. Betzalel was called 6 names. What are Betzalel's 6 names? So the people call him Betzalel. And then Hashem has 5 other names that he gives Betzalel out of affection for him. And then we get these names. Re'iyah or Ra'ayah, seeing, because Hashem showed him to Moshe and all Israel, saying he's the one who's going to build the Mishkan. And he's also Shoval, because he made a nest, a Shovach, for God. And he's also Yachat. He placed God's awe among Israel. Yachat, Chet Taf is a word associated with fear. Achumai, he bonded Israel with God. Icha is to bond, like Ach and Achot is a term for siblings. He made them like brothers to God, or alternatively, he placed God's awe, Ema, among Israel. And he's also Lahad. because he brought glory and beauty upon Israel, Hod and Hadar. And I gave you parentheses at the end in the Hebrew, see Divrei Hayamim Aleph, where you find all of these names associated with Betzalel. That's what the Medrash is building on. But the point is that Betzalel has 6 names here. These names describe not what was done to him or for him, but what he did. Right? These are all about Betzalel building a Mishkan, Betzalel bonding Israel with God, Betzalel bringing Hashem's awe among Israel. They're all about what Betzalel did, not what was done for him. That's number 1. Number 2 is the Medrash in source number 13. But in order to understand the source number 13, you have to take a look at number 12. This is also in our parsha. Hashem doesn't just give Betzalel the job. There are 2 people in charge. It's Betzalel and it's Aholiav. And I, behold, I have placed with him Aholiav, son of Achisamach, of the tribe of Dan. And in the heart of each knowledgeable person I have placed knowledge, ... Dan. Dan is a very interesting shevet to choose. Dan's mother is Bilhah. Right? Dan's mother is Bilhah. Betzalel, we say, is from Yehuda. That's really interesting. Right? Bilhah is the shivcha of... Which one? Rachel, right? Bilhah is the shivcha of Rachel. So now what you have is, number 1, he's from the maidservant, and we know that they were treated differently, going all the way back to the beginning with Yosef. And number 2, it's from Rachel, not from Leah. There's a certain antagonism that we would anticipate here, and a difference between them. And so the Medrash picks up on it in source number 13. Rabbi Chanina ben Pazi says, there is none greater than the tribe of Yehuda, none lowlier than the tribe of Dan, which came from the maids. In fact, Dan travels last among all the Shvatim. Hashem said, let him be matched with Betzalel, so that they will not mock him, and so that no one will be arrogant. For the great and small are equal before Hashem.
That's very nice.
The Mishkan was made by these 2 tribes, and not just that, the Beis HaMikdash as well. Shlomo from Yehuda, and he has a fellow named Chirom, who is the son of a widow from Naphtali. Naphtali is Dan's brother, also from Bilhah. So the pairing with Aholiav is Davka, right?
It's also symbolic for Shalom, the Beis HaMikdash and for the Mishkan.
Definitely.
Peace.
Definitely. So what emerges here, and what I'm trying to show with this sequence, is on the one hand, we saw these 3 opening midrashim, right, which really do, make the case for predestination and for yichus, and you're a product of your ancestors, and that's just the way it is. So Betzalel gets to do what he does. It was part of a divine plan. It's because of the merit of Miriam. It's genes he got from Adam. And we said, that has support. Don't kid yourself. It has support within Judaism. At the same time, we challenge that. We say Hashem is willing to make a point and say, Talmid Chacham doesn't get a kid who's a Talmid Chacham, because I want people to know it's not about inheritance. The line from Rabbi Preda that I don't care who his father is, I want to know, can he learn? That's his challenge. So it can't really be all about the destiny. And in fact, in these 2 midrashim that we just saw, number 11 and number 13, we highlight that it's not. Number 1, Betzalel is praised and associated with these 6 names because of what he did, not because of what others did. And number 2, in source number 13, we're told that Davka Hashem picks people to build the Mishkan who represent the very opposite yichus. So I don't think you can neglect either side. I think you have to recognize both in Judaism. But I think that what you also need is a pragmatic attitude that says, it could be that I've got a great-grandparent who did something, and therefore I'm going to benefit somehow from that, but that's not the way I'm going to live my life. That's not the way I'm going to look at other people. Right? It has to be based on what I am going to do. And here I brought you from the Imrei Shammai, Rabbi Shammai Ginsburg, commentary to the Chumash. It's a very sharp line, which he says, Amra Chacham Echad. They said about a certain sage. I don't know who the sage was, but whoever it was, he had a sharp tongue. They said about this certain Chacham, who was not from a family with Yichus, that Shekine Bo Ish Bur Ve'am Haaretz. There was somebody who was ignorant and unlearned, who was jealous of him. And he made fun of the Chacham, and he said, I have better Yichus than you. And the Chacham said back to him, that's fine. With you the lineage ends. With me it begins. Sorry?
He hasn't said that all the time. Yeah.
Like
some people come from Yichus and some people make their own Yichus.
Well, that's the line. That's the Imrei Shammai's line right here. Sorry, he was the one. Yeah, there you go. So I think that's a really important idea that we can take from it. And yeah, we've done negative side of Yichus, now we've got a positive side of it as well.
So Betzalel was given this as a gift, or it was.
So we're not resolving the problem, because keep in mind, when you're dealing with midrashim like this, the job of the medrash is not to make an overarching statement of Jewish thought. The job of the medrash is to explain a pasuk, and this pasuk is really, the midrashim are all about re'u karasi b'shem, or re'ei karasi b'shem, and this word re'ei, and that's really what they're focused on, and they're channeling different streams within Judaism, and they're presenting you essentially with two different possibilities, both of which are true to what Torah believes, and we have no way to know which one is right. One which is saying it's from this, and the other one which is saying it's what he created, and I have to admit a certain bias in this case towards the predestination based on source number one. Because Hashem says, I filled him with Ruach Elokim. At the same time, you could say no. He had developed a certain worthiness, and therefore Hashem gave him this Ruach Elokim. So you could make it fit either way.
Right, it's just interesting to me this passage is different than other people when you read about Moses and Brooklyn or Yeshua or other people where it's not written.
Right, although often it is. And like in Shotim, it's sometimes about the Hilav Ruach Hashem. Right, the Ruach Hashem was upon him. You take a guy like Shimshon, right? It's before he's born.
That, right, like it was just
right. I mean, it was his mother's merit, but...
The same thing, it was merit.
Yeah. Maybe. Certainly she has a role in it, right, as she's told about all the things she's supposed to observe before he's even born. So the review questions, I think we just basically went through them. Right, how he got the job, how does Nedarim argue against emphasis on lineage, we saw that, and about the not making Torah into inheritance, and how Betzalel's partner, Ahaliyav, demonstrates that lineage is not considered determinative.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.